I can remember one very stressful time in my life. We were just starting out in ministry. We had very, very little money. There was a lot of problems. There was one couple in our life that was really a joy to us and helped us through all the problems. Their name was Mike and Diane. They were just a year or two younger than us. They started out as students in our ministries, became best friends. He was a business guy. I knew he was going to go places. She was the sweetest, kindest, smartest person. It was one of those relationships, I don't know if you have these in your marriage, if you're married, but I got along with him really well, and my wife got along with her really well, and we got along with each other really well. Just that doesn't always happen in the chemistry of it. And we started talking about doing our lives together, having our kids go to the same school, taking vacations together, going to Disneyland together, being the sort of people that were lifelong friends together. And then one summer night, they were in a car accident, and she died. She passed away. When they asked me to do the funeral, I expected to be very sad. I expected that, and I was very sad. I expected to be very confused. And I was very confused. Why, God? Why this person? Here's what, as a young man, I didn't expect. Didn't expect to be so angry. I thought long and hard after that, why was I so angry? And the realization I came to is that Mike and Diana were in my life, not just presently, but they were in my future expectation. I had dreamed about growing up in friendship with them and our kids growing up in friendship with them. And the work of grief, here's the work of grief, is removing the thing you've lost from your future. Taking it out of your future and saying, that won't happen. I won't see her till we get to heaven. And that made me angry that I had something had been taken from me that I valued and loved so much. And I had to do the work of grief. And this is exactly what Moses is experiencing here. He can't get them across to the promised land. Things don't seem like they're ever going to change. The same mistakes keep being made over and over and over again, and he feels like he's lost the promise. And not only is he sad and confused, but in one moment of frustration and fatigue, he's angry. And we get to glimpse into this beautiful, powerful leader's soul just to learn this lesson. Here it is. Deal with your anger before you act. From the most profound moments in our life, that moment with your child that they're going to remember for years and years and years again, that adolescent child that is frustrating in you and you say something in anger, from those moments to the simplest interactions we have at work that kind of destroy our camaraderie, you need to learn to deal with your anger before you act. By the way, we're all going to have anger. If Moses had anger, we're going to have anger. And the Bible teaches us that anger is not sin in and of itself. In our anger, we should not sin. In other words, you can have anger without sinning, but anger is never an excuse to sin. By the way, in this next sermon series, Keep the Faith, now I can remember it, we're going to also do a whole section on anger. It's going to be phenomenal. You want to tune in for that. Why was Moses so angry? Let's look at the passage here. He and Aaron gathered the assembly together in front of the rock, and Moses said to them, listen, you rebels. He was angry because they would not give him their cohesion, their unity. He knew if they could do it together, if they were just together, they'd get across, but they wouldn't do this. Well, let's dive down this. Why was Moses so angry? 2 bullets here. Anger was his familiar failure. If you know the whole story of Moses, he's put in a classroom as a kid where no one in that classroom looks like him. They don't have the same skin color, hair texture, culture. He's a different one. And that frustration grows and grows and grows in his life until as a young man, he kills an Egyptian guard. And then what does he do after he kills the Egyptian guard? He runs to the far side of the desert, gets married. It's always good to commit a murder and then marry really quickly. That's always a good 2 decisions right in a row. Now, I'm not saying that the homicide wasn't justified. I don't think the Bible even speaks to that. I'm just telling you it's giving us an insight into the level of anger and frustration in his soul. He runs and he gets married. He hides from God. He gets confronted by God. God and he have a fight where God gets angry. Moses has got a frustration problem that for years and years and years he thought he'd solved. And here it comes up again, a familiar failure. And then he grew tired of trusting God. Now think about this. Remember earlier when I was telling you, I'm going to tell you why Moses was so angry? You got to understand the timeline. You got to look at these books as Exodus and Numbers and Deuteronomy and get the whole timeline, because here's what's going on. The first time Moses hit the rock and the water came out, it enabled the nation to stay in the desert for decades. So many nights of dust and dirt and sand. So many nights too hot. So many nights too cold. And Moses comes out of the tent of meeting and he goes, he's going to give them water again, Aaron. He's giving them water. And you know what that means? That means that the people will be able to drink for more decades. That they don't need to go into the promised land. What we need now is a unified effort to get over that river. I don't know why God's doing this, and I don't like it. This is the wrong move. He fails to trust God. He assumes by what God tells him what God's going to do. Boy, assumption. There's a cliche every one of you are thinking right now, and I'm not going to say it because I'm a pastor. He grew tired of trusting. Okay. Don't know where your family's at. Don't know where you're at personally. But I'm just going to tell you something really simple. This is the best advice I can give you. Don't grow tired of trusting the only one who knows what's happening. Don't grow tired of trusting the only one. Because, listen, there was no one a month ago saying, you know what's going to happen? We're going to have chaos in the stock market because of Reddit. Yeah, a bunch of guys in their basement playing video games, eating Cheetos, gonna take down the hedge fund managers. I'm calling it now. You don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know what's gonna happen. That's the nature of it. There's only one person who knows what happened. Don't assume, trust God. Here's the question. What familiar failure does God want you to trust him with? What familiar failure does God want you to trust him with? Listen to me very carefully here. God knows your failures, and he has not given up on you, no matter how familiar they are.